The cell was cold and smelled like blood. Hana opened her eyes slowly, feeling the hard metal floor beneath her. Her head hurt. Everything hurt. She remembered the attack on her ship, the flash of weapons fire, and then nothing. She sat up and looked around. The walls were dark metal with strange symbols carved into them. A faint blue light came from somewhere above. This was not her ship. This was not anywhere she knew. Hana touched her uniform. It was torn but still on her body. Her weapons were gone. Her communication device was gone. She was alone in a cell on an alien world, and nobody knew where she was. The door opened with a loud sound. 3 creatures walked in. They were tall, maybe 8 feet high, with rough skin like a lizard. They had 4 fingers on each hand that ended in sharp claws. Their eyes were yellow and cold. One of them spoke in a language she did not know. When she did not answer, it grabbed her arm and pulled her up. The grip was strong enough to hurt. They pushed her out of the cell and down a long hallway. Hana saw other cells as they walked. Inside were creatures of all kinds. Some were huge with thick armor on their bodies. Some were small and covered in fur. Some looked almost human but with strange colors or extra arms. All of them looked scared or angry or broken. They took her to a large room. It was decorated with weapons on the walls and bones on the floor. In the center of the room sat the biggest creature she had ever seen. He was at least 10 feet tall, covered in dark red scales that looked like armor. His arms were thick with muscle. His hands had claws as long as knives, but it was his eyes that made Hana feel cold inside. They were the eyes of something that had killed many times and enjoyed it. A human, the creature said in perfect English. His voice was deep and rough. How interesting. We have heard stories about your kind, but we have not seen one before. Hana said nothing. She stood straight and looked at him without fear. Inside, her heart was beating fast, but she would not show it. The creature stood and walked around her in a circle. My name is Thexmon. I am the warlord of this arena. Do you know what an arena is, little human? A place where people fight, Hana said. Her voice was steady. Thexmon laughed. It was a terrible sound. Yes, a place where warriors fight and die for the entertainment of the Krelith Empire. We have conquered 700 worlds. From each world we take the strongest warriors and bring them here. They fight until they die. He stopped in front of her and looked down at her face. You are small. You have no claws, no armor, no venom, no special abilities that we can see. Your ship was weak, your weapons were primitive, and yet your species calls itself intelligent. We are intelligent, Hana said. Perhaps, but intelligence does not win fights in the arena. Strength wins, speed wins, natural weapons win. He turned and walked to a wall covered in weapons. Tomorrow you will fight. If you survive 10 fights, you go free. That is the rule. Has anyone survived 10 fights? Hana asked. Thexmon looked back at her and smiled. It was not a kind smile. No, most die in the first fight. The record is 6 fights held by a creature from a world we destroyed 3 cycles ago. He was 12 feet tall and could breathe fire. He pulled several weapons from the wall and placed them on a table. Choose your weapon, human. I will be generous. You may choose anything here. Hana walked to the table. She saw energy blades that glowed with power. She saw large hammers that could crush stone. She saw guns that shot plasma. She saw axes and swords and spears made from metals she did not recognize. She looked at all of them carefully. Then she pointed to a simple knife made of steel and a long chain hanging on the wall. Thexmon stared at her. Then he laughed again, harder this time. A knife and a chain? Those are not even proper weapons. Those are tools. They will work, Hana said. The warlord shook his head. You humans are either very brave or very stupid. I cannot decide which. He nodded to the guards. Take her back to her cell. Let her rest. Tomorrow will be her last day alive. As the guards took her away, Hana looked back at Thexmon. He was watching her with amusement in his eyes. He thought she was going to die. He thought she was weak and helpless. Good. Let him think that. Back in her cell, Hana sat on the floor and closed her eyes. She thought about Earth, about her training, about everything she had learned. The Krelith Empire thought humans were weak, because they did not have claws or armor or special powers. They did not understand that humans did not need those things. Humans had something better. Humans could adapt. Humans could learn. Humans could survive anything if they were smart enough and stubborn enough. She thought about the arena, about the fights she would face. She thought about Thexmon and his confidence. She thought about the way he moved, the way he talked, the way he looked at her like she was already dead. He had made a mistake. He had told her the rules. He had shown her the arena. He had given her information. And information was the most powerful weapon of all. Hana opened her eyes. The blue light above her cast shadows on the walls. She was alone in a cell on an alien world, about to fight in an arena where everyone died. But she was not afraid. She was a captain in the Terran Defense Fleet. She had trained for situations like this. Not exactly like this, but close enough. Tomorrow she would step into the arena. Tomorrow Thexmon would watch her fight. He would smile and wait for her to die like all the others. But tomorrow he would learn something new. He would learn what it meant to fight a human. He would learn that size and strength and natural weapons were not enough. He would learn that the most dangerous predator was not always the biggest or the strongest. Sometimes, the most dangerous predator was the one that could think and adapt and refuse to give up. Hana lay down on the cold floor and closed her eyes. She needed rest. Tomorrow would be difficult, but tomorrow would also be the day that the Krellith Empire learned its first lesson about humanity, and that lesson would be painful. The sound of the crowd was like thunder. Hana stood at the gate waiting for it to open. She could hear thousands of voices shouting and screaming in languages she did not understand. They wanted blood. They wanted death. They wanted entertainment. She held the knife in her right hand and the chain wrapped around her left arm. The metal was cold against her skin. These were simple weapons, but they were all she needed. The gate opened slowly. Bright light poured in from the arena. Hana stepped forward and the sound became even louder. The arena was huge, bigger than any stadium on Earth. The ground was covered in sand that was dark red from old blood. The walls rose high on all sides, covered with seats full of alien creatures of every kind. Above the arena, in a special box, sat Thexmon. He was on a large throne made of black metal. Around him were other Krellith warriors and important-looking aliens. They all watched her with interest. Hana walked to the center of the arena. The crowd was screaming at her, but she did not look at them. She looked at the sand beneath her feet. She looked at the walls. She looked at the gates on the far side. She was learning the space, understanding it, making it familiar. A voice boomed across the arena. It spoke in many languages, including English. The human from Earth will fight Greth the Destroyer, champion of Vorka, winner of 32 battles. A gate across from Hana opened. What came out made the crowd roar with excitement. Greth was huge. He stood on two legs like a human, but he was 9 feet tall and covered in thick plates of natural armor. His skin was gray and hard like stone. His arms were massive, and from each forearm grew sharp bone spikes as long as swords. His face had no nose, just 2 holes, and his mouth was full of teeth like broken glass. He roared at Hana. The sound echoed off the walls. He beat his chest with his spiked arms, and the crowd loved it. In his throne, Thexmon leaned back and smiled. This would be quick. The human would charge or run or freeze. Greth would crush her or cut her in half. It would be over in seconds. The warlord took a drink and prepared to be mildly entertained. Hana took her first step toward Greth. It was just 1 step, but everything about it was wrong. Thexmon's smile disappeared. He leaned forward, his eyes focusing on the human with sudden intensity. The step was not the step of someone scared or desperate. It was not the step of someone trying to be brave. It was the step of a predator. Her weight was perfectly balanced. Her breathing was controlled. Her eyes were watching every part of Greth's body at once. Thexmon had seen 10,000 warriors enter his arena. He knew the difference between courage and skill, between luck and training, between hope and certainty. This human moved with certainty. She moved like someone who had already won and was just going through the necessary actions. For the first time in years, Thexmon felt something cold in his chest. It was not fear exactly, but it was close. It was the feeling a hunter gets when he realizes the prey is not prey at all. Greth charged. His massive legs pounded the sand. His spiked arms were ready to tear the human apart. He was fast for something so big. He had killed 32 opponents with this exact charge. Hana waited. She did not move. The crowd held its breath. Greth was 10 feet away, then 5, then 3. At the last possible moment, Hana moved. But she did not move back or to the side. She moved forward and slightly right. It was such a small movement that some in the crowd did not even see it. The chain unwrapped from her arm in a blur of motion. It caught Greth's left arm just behind the elbow, wrapping around it once, twice. Hana used Greth's own speed and weight against him. She pulled hard on the chain and turned her body. Greth's charge became a fall. His own momentum betrayed him. He crashed into the sand face first, his spiked arms trapped beneath him. Hana was already moving. She jumped onto his back. The knife in her hand found the space between two armor plates at the base of his neck. It was a tiny space, almost invisible, but Hana found it. The knife went in deep. Greth made a sound like air escaping from a broken machine. Blood, dark blue and thick, poured into the sand. His body jerked once, twice, then was still. Hana stood up. The entire fight had taken 15 seconds. The arena was silent. No one could believe what they had just seen. Greth the Destroyer, winner of 32 battles, was dead. Killed by a small human with a knife and a chain. Killed so fast that many people did not understand what had happened. Then the crowd erupted. Some were angry. Some were shocked. Some were excited. The noise was incredible. Hana pulled her knife from Greth's neck and wiped the blood on the sand. She wrapped the chain around her arm again. Then she looked up at Thexmon. The Warlord was not smiling anymore. He was staring at her with an expression she could not quite read. It was not anger or amusement. It was something else. Something like recognition. Thexmon stood up. He pressed a button on his throne, opening a private channel to his arena master. Send the next fighter. Send him now. My lord, the rules say there should be 1 hour between fights, the arena master said. I do not care about the rules. Send the next fighter. Send all of them. Every champion we have. I want them all fighting her today. All of them, my lord. That is against tradition. The crowd expects, do it now. Thexmon's voice was hard as stone. And record everything. I want every moment of this captured. The arena master obeyed. Another gate opened. A new creature emerged, this one covered in thick fur with 6 arms and a mouthful of poison fangs. Hana did not rest. She turned to face the new threat. She took another step forward, moving into position, and Thexmon watched. He watched the way she moved. He watched the way she analyzed her opponent in the seconds before combat. He watched the way she used the environment, the sand, the walls, everything around her as part of her strategy. He had made a terrible mistake. He had looked at humans and seen weakness because they had no claws or armor or special abilities. He had not understood what that meant. Every creature in the arena had evolved to fight in one specific way. They had natural weapons or defenses that made them strong. But those same weapons and defenses locked them into patterns. A creature with claws fought with claws. A creature with armor relied on armor. Humans had nothing, which meant humans could do anything. The second fight lasted 20 seconds. The creature with 6 arms died with Hana's chain wrapped around its neck and her knife in its eye. The third fight lasted 30 seconds. A flying creature with acid breath fell from the air with broken wings. The fourth fight lasted 10 seconds. An armored warrior bigger than Greth died before it could even attack. Thexmon watched all of it. With each fight, he understood more. The human was not lucky. She was not even particularly skilled compared to the greatest warriors in the galaxy, but she was something more dangerous than skilled. She was adaptable. She learned from every fight. She studied every opponent in the seconds before battle and found their weakness. Size, strength, natural weapons. None of it mattered if she could find the one spot. The one moment, the one action that would end the fight. After the 5th fight, Thexmon called another private meeting with his war council. They watched recordings of Hana's battles. What are we looking at? One of them asked. We are looking at the future, Thexmon said quietly. We are looking at what happens when a species has no strengths, so they learn to exploit every weakness. We are looking at why we should have feared Earth instead of dismissing it. One human cannot defeat the Empire, his second-in-command said. Thexmon turned to him. If one human can do this with a knife and chain, what can 1 billion humans do with ships and weapons in time to prepare? The room was silent. I will fight her myself in the next match, Thexmon said, and I will kill her. But after that, we need to talk to the Empire about Earth. We need to talk to them before it is too late. Hana stood in the center of the arena, breathing hard. Her uniform was torn and covered in blood that was not hers. The knife was still sharp in her hand. The chain was still wrapped around her arm. She had fought 8 battles without rest, and she was still alive. The crowd was no longer calling for her death. They were chanting something in a language she did not know. Some were excited. Some were afraid. All of them were watching her like she was something they had never seen before. The arena master's voice boomed across the space. The human has survived 8 battles. The fights will continue tomorrow. Guards came and took Hana back to her cell. Her legs felt heavy. Her arms hurt. But she had survived. More than survived, she had won. Back in her cell, Hana sat on the floor and closed her eyes. She was tired, but her mind was still moving, still thinking, still analyzing everything she had learned. "You are human." Hana's eyes opened. Someone had spoken in English. She looked up and saw a man standing outside her cell. He was human, thin and pale with dark circles under his eyes. He wore strange clothes made of rough fabric. "My name is Taeyang," the man said. "I am an engineer. I was captured 6 months ago when my ship broke down near Krelith Space. They kept me alive to maintain their equipment." Hana stood up. "There are other humans here?" "2 others that I know of." "There might be more." Taeyang looked nervous. "I watched your fights. I cannot believe you survived. How did you do it?" "Training, luck, stubbornness." Hana walked to the cell door. "How long have you been working for them?" "I had no choice. They said they would kill me if I did not work. I fix machines, repair weapons, maintain the arena systems." He looked around nervously. "I should not be talking to you. If they find me here, where are the other humans?" Hana asked. "One is named Daehyun. He is a scout. He has been here for 2 years. They use him to test their weapons and armor. He knows things about the Krelith that might help you." Taeyang pulled something from his pocket. It was a small piece of metal. "This is a communicator I built from spare parts. It only works in short range, but I can contact Daehyun with it. Do you want to talk to him?" "Yes." Taeyang pressed buttons on the device. After a moment, a voice came through, quiet and careful. "Taeyang? Is something wrong?" "There is another human here. Her name is Hana. She fought in the arena today. 8 battles. She won all of them." There was silence. Then the voice said, "That is not possible. Nothing survives 8 battles in Thexmon's arena." "I saw it," Taeyang said. "Everyone saw it. She killed them all. Greth the Destroyer died in 15 seconds. Another long silence. "Let me talk to her." Taeyang handed the communicator to Hana. She held it close. "My name is Captain Hana Kang of the Terran Defense Fleet. I was captured when my ship was attacked. I need information about the Krelith Empire." "Captain?" Daehyun's voice sounded surprised. "They captured a TDF officer? That is bad. That means they are getting closer to Earth. What do you know about their military strength?" Hana asked. "A lot. They have made me fight their soldiers for training exercises. I have studied their tactics and their technology. The Krelith Empire controls 700 worlds. They have millions of ships and billions of soldiers. But here is what they do not understand about themselves. They have a pattern." "What kind of pattern?" "They conquer species by finding their greatest strength and countering it. If a species is very strong, they use weapons that ignore strength. If a species is very fast, they use traps and barriers. They have done this for thousands of years. It always works." Hana thought about this. "But humans do not have a greatest strength." "Exactly. I have been here for 2 years watching them study humans. They captured me. They ran tests. They made me fight, and they still do not understand what makes us dangerous. They keep looking for the one thing we are best at. But we are not best at anything. We are just good enough at everything. That is our advantage," Hana said quietly. "Yes, but they do not see it yet. They think humans are a weak species. They classified Earth as a minimal threat world. They are planning to conquer it eventually, but it is low on their list of priorities." Daehyun paused. "Your fights today might change that. Thexmon is not stupid. He will figure out what you are doing and why it works. Then he will report it to the Empire." "Good," Hana said. "Good? How is that good?" "Because that is why I am here." Taeyang stared at her. "What do you mean?" Hana handed the communicator back. "My ship was not attacked by accident. We let them attack us. The Terran Defense Fleet needed to know what we were dealing with in this part of space. We needed to know if the Krelith Empire was as dangerous as the report said. We needed to know if they would be hostile to humanity. You let them capture you." Taeyang looked confused. "Not exactly. I did not plan to be the only survivor. But yes, I volunteered for this mission knowing capture was possible, and now I know everything I need to know. The Krelith Empire is powerful. They are dangerous, but they think in patterns. They expect every species to have a greatest strength. That makes them predictable. You are going to fight Thexmon, Daehyun said through the communicator. That is what happens next. He always fights personally when something interests him, and you have definitely interested him. I know, Hana said. I have been watching him. I know how he moves. I know how he thinks. I have seen him train his warriors. I have studied his techniques through every fighter he sent against me. And you think you can beat him? I think I can show the galaxy what happens when you underestimate humanity. Taeyang shook his head. This is insane. You are talking about fighting the most dangerous warrior in the Empire. He has killed hundreds of opponents. He has conquered dozens of worlds personally. He is overconfident, Hana interrupted. He thinks size and strength win fights. He thinks natural weapons are better than tools. He thinks experience is the same as adaptability. He is wrong about all of those things, the communicator crackled. Captain, Daehyun said carefully, what exactly is your plan? The arena fights are broadcast across the Empire. You said so yourself. 700 worlds watch the arena for entertainment. That means 700 worlds watched me today. They watched a human without any special abilities defeat their champions. They watched adaptability beat specialization. You are sending a message? Daehyun said quietly. Yes. A message that the Kralith Empire needs to reconsider Earth. A message that humanity is not a minimal threat. A message that we are not easy prey. Hana looked at Taeyang. How many humans are in the Empire? I do not know. Maybe a few hundred. They have been capturing human ships for a few years now. They study us, test us, try to understand what we are useful for, but they have not found anything yet. To them, we are just weak creatures with no special traits. That ends tomorrow, Hana said. Tomorrow the Warlord fights me personally. Tomorrow the entire Empire watches. And tomorrow they learn what humanity really is. Taeyang looked frightened. What if you lose? What if he kills you? Then Earth still gets a warning. If a TDF captain dies in the arena, the fleet will know something happened. They will investigate. They will be ready. Either way, Earth wins. Hana sat back down on the floor. But I do not plan to lose. How can you be so confident? Taeyang asked. Because he smiled when I entered the arena, Hana said. He smiled because he thought I was weak. He thought I was going to die easily. He thought he understood me. And now? Now he knows he was wrong. Now he is worried. Now he will fight me himself because he needs to prove that the Empire is still strong, that humans are still weak, that everything is still under control. Hana smiled, but it is too late. The moment he stopped smiling was the moment he admitted that humanity is dangerous, and you cannot take back that admission. Taeyang took the communicator back. We should go. If they find me here, they will kill me. Wait, Hana said. Can you get me information about Thexmon's previous fights? Videos, recordings, anything? Maybe. Why? Because I'm going to study him all night. I am going to learn every move he makes, every pattern he follows, every mistake he has ever made. And tomorrow I'm going to use all of that against him. Taeyang nodded slowly. I will see what I can do. As he left, Hana closed her eyes again. Tomorrow would be the hardest fight of her life. Tomorrow she would face a warrior who had killed hundreds. Tomorrow the entire galaxy would be watching. Tomorrow humanity would stop being a minimal threat. Tomorrow the Warlord would learn what it meant to fight a human. The arena had never been so full. Every seat was taken. Creatures from all over the Empire had come to watch the impossible match. The human who had survived 17 battles would fight Warlord Thexmon himself. Nobody had ever seen the Warlord enter the arena as a fighter. This was history. Hana stood at her gate waiting. She had not slept. She had spent all night watching recordings that Taeyang smuggled to her. She had studied every fight Thexmon ever recorded. She had watched his training sessions. She had analyzed every movement, every attack pattern, every tactical decision. She knew him now. Not as well as he knew himself, but well enough. The gate opened. Hana walked into the arena. The crowd was screaming so loud it hurt her ears. She ignored them. She walked to the center and stopped, waiting. Thexmon's voice boomed across the arena. He stood in his viewing box looking down at her. People of the Empire, today you witness something special. Today I will personally end the humans' surprising run. Today I will prove that the natural order still exists. Today I will show you that size, strength, and power will always defeat luck and tricks. The crowd roared its approval. Thexmon climbed down from his box. He walked through a special entrance into the arena. He wore armor made of black metal that covered his chest and arms. He carried a massive sword in one hand, a weapon as tall as Hana. His other hand had a shield with sharp edges. He walked across the sand toward Hana. Each step made a heavy sound. He was 10 feet tall, covered in muscle and scale and armor. He looked like death itself. Hana held her knife and chain. She looked small and weak next to him, but she was smiling. Thexmon saw the smile and stopped. "You smile? You think this is amusing?" "I smile because you are about to learn something," Hana said. Her voice was calm and clear. "You are about to learn what humanity is." "I know what humanity is. You are a species with no natural weapons, no armor, no special abilities. You are weak." "No," Hana said. "We are adaptable, and that is much more dangerous." Thexmon raised his sword. "Last words, human?" "Yes, on my planet we were the weakest creatures. Everything could kill us. Larger predators hunted us. Smaller predators poisoned us. The weather could kill us. Disease could kill us. We should have died out millions of years ago. And yet you survived. We did more than survive. We thrived. Do you know how? We learned to hunt animals that were faster than us by chasing them until they collapsed from exhaustion. We learned to survive in environments that killed other species. We learned to eat food that was poisonous to others. We learned to live in frozen lands and burning deserts and everywhere in between. We had no special strengths, so we learned to adapt to everything. Hana took a step forward. You smile at my knife and chain because they are simple weapons. But humans invented better weapons than you can imagine. We built them because we needed to. You have claws, we built knives. You have armor, we built projectiles. You have strength, we built leverage. Every disadvantage we had, we turned into a reason to be smarter. Enough talking, Thexmon said. It is time to fight. Yes, Hana agreed. It is, Thexmon charged. He was fast for something so large. His sword came down in a killing strike that would cut Hana in half. She was not there. She moved to the side and the sword hit sand. Before Thexmon could recover, the chain wrapped around his sword arm. Hana pulled hard and moved behind him. Thexmon turned and swung his shield. It was a good move, one that had killed many opponents. But Hana was already moving. She had seen this exact move in the recordings. She ducked under the shield and slashed at his leg, finding a gap between armor plates. The knife cut deep. Blue blood poured out. Thexmon roared in pain and anger. He swung the sword again, faster now, more aggressive. Hana dodged each strike. She was not trying to match his strength or speed. She was studying him. With each attack, she learned more. She saw how he favored his right side. She saw how he telegraphed his strikes with small movements. She saw how his anger made him predictable. You think you know me? Thexmon said between strikes. You think watching recordings taught you how to fight me? But recordings do not show you everything. They do not show you real experience. They do not show you true power. You are right, Hana said. Recordings do not show everything, but they show patterns. And you follow patterns. She moved inside his guard. The knife struck again, this time at his wrist. His grip loosened on the sword. Before he could react, she kicked the weapon from his hand. Thexmon threw away his shield and grabbed for her with both hands. But Hana was already moving. She used the chain to wrap around his arm and pull herself up onto his back. You know what humans are really good at? She said in his ear. We are good at killing things bigger than us. We have been doing it for millions of years. It is what we do. She struck with the knife at the base of his neck where armor did not cover. Thexmon reached back and grabbed her, pulling her off and throwing her across the arena. Hana hit the sand hard. Pain shot through her body. She rolled and stood up quickly. Thexmon was bleeding from multiple wounds now, but he was still standing. Still dangerous. You fight well, he admitted. Better than I expected. But you cannot win. I am stronger. I am bigger. I am more experienced. You will tire. You will make a mistake. And I will kill you. Maybe, Hana said. But that is not the point. What is the point? The point is that everyone is watching. 700 worlds are seeing this fight. They are seeing a human with basic weapons fight the great warlord Thexmon. They are seeing me hurt you. They are seeing you bleed. Even if you kill me, the message is sent. What message? That humanity is not weak. That we are dangerous. That the Krellith Empire made a mistake by calling Earth a minimal threat. Hana moved forward again. You conquered 700 species by finding their greatest strength and countering it. But we do not have a greatest strength. We have something better. We can become whatever we need to be. Thexmon picked up his sword again. He was moving slower now. The wounds were taking their toll. You talk too much, human. Maybe, but I learned something from you. You know what it was, what? You taught all your warriors to fight like you. Every technique, every pattern, every move, they all learned from you. That means when I fought them, I was really fighting you. 17 times I fought you. 17 times I learned your patterns. 17 times I studied your weaknesses. Thexmon's eyes widened slightly. He understood now. She had been preparing for this fight from the very beginning. Clever, he said. But cleverness is not enough. He charged again, faster than before. It was a desperate move, an all-or-nothing attack. The sword came at her from multiple angles. Each strike could kill her. Hana dodged them all. She had seen this combination in the recordings. She knew it was coming. She waited for the last strike, the one that always left him exposed for a fraction of a second. There. The sword came down hard. Hana moved inside his guard. The chain wrapped around his neck. She pulled tight and did not let go. Thexmon tried to pull her off, but the angle was wrong. He could not reach her. He tried to crush her against his body, but she held on. His strength was incredible, but it did not matter. She just had to hold on, just had to keep the chain tight. Slowly, Thexmon dropped to his knees. The crowd was completely silent. No one could believe what they were seeing. The great warlord was being strangled by a small human with a chain. You could have killed me with the sword, Hana said quietly. You could have used the energy weapons or the plasma rifles. But you chose armor and a blade because that is how a warrior fights. That is what the Empire values, strength and tradition. Thexmon's hands grabbed at the chain, but his movements were getting weaker. Humans do not care about tradition. We care about winning. We will use any tool, any tactic, any strategy that works. We will fight in any way necessary to survive. That is what makes us dangerous. Thexmon fell forward into the sand. Hana released the chain and stepped back. She held the knife ready, but Thexmon was not moving. For a long moment, the arena was silent. Then someone in the crowd started making a sound. It was not cheering. It was not booing. It was something else. Something like fear. The sound spread through the crowd. Thousands of creatures looking at the small human standing over the fallen warlord. Thousands of creatures realizing what this meant. Hana walked to Thexmon's head. She knelt down and put the knife to his throat. She could kill him. She could end it right here, but she did not. Instead, she spoke loudly enough for everyone to hear. Your empire has just made its first and last mistake about Earth. Then she stood up and walked toward the gate, leaving Thexmon alive in the sand. 3 days passed before Thexmon could stand again. His wounds were healing, but they would leave scars. The doctor said he was lucky to be alive. Everyone in the Empire was talking about what happened. The warlord, who had never been defeated, was beaten by a human with simple weapons. He walked slowly through the halls of his fortress. Guards looked at him with expressions he had never seen before. Not fear, not respect, something between the two. Uncertainty. He reached Hana's cell. She was sitting on the floor looking at the wall. She did not turn when he entered. You spared my life, Thexmon said. His voice was rough from the chain's pressure on his throat. Yes. Why? You could have killed me. You could have become the new warlord. That is the tradition. I do not want to be a warlord, Hana said. I am not here to rule. I am here to send a message. Thexmon sat down slowly. It hurt to move. The message was sent. The entire empire saw the fight. Every world is talking about it. My superiors are demanding explanations. What will you tell them? The truth. That we underestimated humanity. That we made a serious mistake classifying Earth as a minimal threat. That we need to reconsider our approach to your species. Hana finally turned to look at him. Will they listen? They will now. They saw what happened. They saw how you adapted to every fighter I sent. They saw how you turned our own tactics against us. They understand now that humans are different from other species we have conquered. We are not different. We are just more desperate to survive. Thexmon was quiet for a moment. I have been thinking about what you said. About how humans hunted prey by chasing them until they collapsed. About how you survived in every environment on your planet. About how you turned every weakness into a reason to adapt. And it terrifies me. My species evolved on a world where we were the top predators. We had no serious threats. We developed strength and armor because we could. We conquered other worlds because we were powerful. He touched the wounds on his neck. But you evolved on a world that tried to kill you constantly. Every day was a fight to survive. You had to be clever because you could not be strong. You had to adapt because you could not dominate. That is correct. The Empire has conquered 700 worlds. We have billions of soldiers. We have weapons that can destroy planets. But all of that is built on a simple idea, that the strongest species wins. We find what others are good at and we counter it. We have never failed to conquer a world using this method. Hana smiled slightly. Until now. Until now, Thexmon agreed, because you do not have one thing you are good at. You are just adequate at everything, and that makes you impossible to counter using our normal methods. There was a sound at the cell door. Taeyang and Daehyun entered, escorted by guards. They looked nervous but alive. These are the other humans, Thexmon said. I have ordered their release. All humans in the Empire will be freed and allowed to return to Earth. Taeyang looked shocked. Really? We can go home? Yes, more than that, I'm offering you something else. Thexmon stood up slowly. The Krelith Empire wants to negotiate with Earth. We want to establish formal relations. We want to discuss trade and territory and peace. Hana stood up as well. You are afraid of us now. Yes, any intelligent species should fear humans after seeing what you can do. You fought with basic weapons and defeated our greatest warrior. If Earth decides to become our enemy, it will be a long and costly war. We would rather have Earth as a neutral party, or perhaps even as an ally. What exactly are you offering? Hana asked. Safe passage for all humans in our territory. Recognition of Earth's sovereignty. A formal agreement that the Empire will not enter your space without permission. And access to trade with the 700 worlds under our control. That is a generous offer. Why are you giving us so much? Thexmon looked at her directly. Because I watched you fight. I watched you learn and adapt. I watched you turn every disadvantage into a strategy. I saw what one human could do with determination and intelligence. And I understand now what billions of humans could do with time and resources. The Empire is powerful, but we are not stupid. We know when to fight and when to negotiate. With humanity, negotiation is the smarter choice. Hana nodded slowly. I will need to speak with my superiors in the Terran Defense Fleet. This is not a decision I can make alone. I understand. I have prepared a ship for you. It is fast and well armed. It will take you back to Earth. My diplomatic team will follow in a larger vessel. They will wait for your response. What if Earth decides to reject your offer? What if we decide the Empire is too dangerous to deal with? Then we will respect your decision and stay away from your space. But I hope that does not happen. The galaxy is large. There is room for both our species. And there are threats in the galaxy that neither of us has encountered yet. It would be better to face those threats as allies rather than enemies. Hana looked at Taeyang and Daehyun. Are you ready to go home? Yes, they both said together. Then we should leave soon. Hana turned back to Thexmon. Thank you for keeping your word about the 10 battles. I survived them. I earned my freedom under your rules. You did more than survive. You changed the Empire's understanding of what is possible. That is worth more than freedom. Thexmon gestured to the door. The ship is waiting. My guards will escort you to it. As they walked through the fortress, creatures stopped to stare at them. Word had spread about the human who defeated the warlord. Some looked at her with fear. Some looked at her with respect. None looked at her with contempt. They reached the landing bay where a sleek ship waited. It was small but powerful, designed for speed rather than combat. Hana could see weapon systems and shields that were far more advanced than anything on her destroyed vessel. Before boarding, Hana turned to Thexmon one last time. Can I ask you something? Yes. When I first entered the arena, you smiled. You thought I was going to die quickly, but you stopped smiling after my first step. What did you see? Thexmon thought about this. I saw a predator. Not the kind of predator we have in the Empire. The kind that is big and strong and obvious. I saw a different kind. The kind that hides its danger. The kind that studies its prey before striking. The kind that turns weakness into advantage. I saw something that my instincts told me to fear, even though my mind said you were harmless. Your instincts were right. Yes, they were. And that is the lesson I will teach the Empire. When you see a human, do not smile. Do not think they are weak. Do not underestimate them, because that is how you lose. Hana boarded the ship with Taeyang and Daehyun. The engines powered up with a deep hum. The ship lifted off and flew toward the sky. Inside, Daehyun sat in the co-pilot seat and started checking the systems. This is incredible. This ship is more advanced than anything in the TDF fleet. The navigation system alone is worth studying. Taeyang was in the back looking at the medical supplies and equipment. They gave us everything. Food, water, medicine, even entertainment systems. They really want us to get home safely. Hana sat in the pilot seat and programmed the route to Earth. They are afraid of what happens if we do not get home. They are afraid of what Earth will do if they learn that the Empire killed a TDF captain. So it worked, Daehyun said. Your plan worked. You sent the message. You changed how they see us. Yes, the message was sent. Now Earth gets to decide what to do with it. The ship broke through the atmosphere and entered space. Behind them, Vraxa Prime became a small sphere, then a point of light, then nothing. Ahead of them was the long journey home. Ahead of them was Earth, waiting for news of what happened. Ahead of them was humanity's future in a galaxy that now knew to take them seriously. Hana thought about Thexmon and his arena. She thought about the 700 worlds that watched her fight. She thought about the moment when the Warlord stopped smiling and started to understand. That was the moment everything changed. That was the moment when humanity stopped being invisible and started being important. That was the moment when the galaxy learned that the most dangerous species was not always the strongest, or the fastest, or the most heavily armed. Sometimes the most dangerous species was the one that refused to give up, the one that adapted to everything, the one that turned every disadvantage into a reason to be smarter and more determined and more creative, the one that had spent millions of years being hunted and learned to hunt back. Daehyun interrupted her thoughts. Captain, I am picking up a signal from TDF Command. They are asking for our status. Tell them we are coming home. Tell them we have a lot to report. Tell them the galaxy just learned about humanity and it will never forget. She looked out at the stars. Somewhere out there were 700 worlds. Billions of creatures all talking about what they saw in the arena, all reconsidering what they thought they knew about humans, all understanding that Earth was not a minimal threat. Earth was a species that had survived everything its own planet threw at it. Earth was a species that had no natural weapons but invented better ones. Earth was a species that had no special strengths but learned to be good enough at everything. And now the galaxy knew it. The Warlord had smiled when she entered the arena. He did not smile after her first step, and he would never underestimate a human again. That was the message. That was the lesson. That was humanity's introduction to the greater galaxy, and it was only the beginning.